that I am actually recording.
Recording in progress.
Okay, so you hear the recording. And then Facebook, we're also going to go live. So let me see if this is going to work. Okay, everybody. Okay. So I got my camera here, camera here, camera here. There's a lot of cameras. Okay. So exciting. Okay, so we are live. This is so exciting, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I'm just giving it a minute so that the live is going correctly. So tell me where you're from if you're watching this as a replay, and if you're watching this live, welcome here. And yeah, just type in the comments, tell me where you're coming from. Love to see where everybody is from on this call. So today we're going to be talking about intuition on demand and how I do it. So if you're new to this channel, if you're new to my work, my name is Solera. I am a spiritual channel and I help people create abundance in all areas of life. And it's such an amazing workshop today that I'm bringing to you because I haven't really talked about intuition in this way before. Everybody knows me as the channeler, right? I can talk to the spirit guides, I can talk to the angels, I can talk to like the galactic groups, I can talk to so many different kinds of consciousness, let's say. But the reason I really want to talk about intuition on demand is because intuition is a skill that you can learn. It's something that can actually develop over time for you. Okay, so I'm going to take a minute just to tune in, and then I'm going to be channeling and giving you this lesson, okay, using my own intuition, my own connection to spirit. Okay, so let's call on God and God's love and light for all of us here. Let's tell God that I am ready to offer this information to everybody. Okay, let's tune in. Okay, so let's start out by first explaining, okay, what intuition on demand means. Intuition on demand just means that you are connected to this inner voice, right? This still voice. And this still voice, it's basically the voice of your higher self, the aspect of you that knows all the information, the aspect of you that has access to all the consciousness in the world, and the aspect of you that can connect to all the information that is available, okay, throughout this life, throughout all the different lifetimes. And so it is so important that we talk about intuition because you need to understand how you can access it at all times, so that every time you have a question, you can ask and get an answer. Every time you have a question, you're struggling with something, you can ask and you can get an answer. You don't necessarily need to even go outside to an expert or to a coach or to somebody. You can just really tune into your own intuition, your own connection to spirit, and that connection is your connection to God, essentially. Okay, and you're probably not going to hear other people talk about it in this way. You're not going to hear other people talk about intuition being your connection to God, because it seems like so blasphemous, like this is blasphemy that you have your own access to God. But we have been taught, right, by churches and temples or whatever, that, oh, we got to go to a priest, we got to go to a monk, whoever, whatever, to give us the information, to give us the connection to God. But actually, you can just do it yourself. Like, you literally can just go boom and connect your own information, your own channel, and it's like plugging your phone. When your phone is running out of battery, you plug it into like electric socket, right? And then you then instantly are downloading electricity, right? You would expect the phone to have electricity right away when you plug it in, right? Because that's what we know. And so it is the same when it comes to your intuition. Like, you should be able to plug it in, and then the answer is coming out, okay? And then the question that you may have about this is, well, where is that answer coming from, right? That's number one. And number two question is, how do I know the difference between my own egoic thought versus like actually my intuition, right? So I'm gonna really talk a little bit about that so I can distinguish that for you. So where's that coming from? It's coming from, you can say, spirit, God, universe. It's coming from that divine connection that you have, right? We have different chakras. You may or may not have heard of the chakra system. So you have the crown chakra here, right? You have the third eye, you have the throat, you have the heart, you have the solar plexus, the sacral, and the root chakra. And you also have the earth star chakra, like your connection to the earth, and you have the soul star chakra, that's your connection to the divine. So information is coming down through the soul star chakra, actually through the crown chakra, and then going into all of your chakra system. Okay, so that's actually how it works. So if your crown chakra is not blocked, okay, hear me out. If your crown chakra is not blocked, then this opens immediately, and then the information go boop, 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 boop. It just clicks right into place, okay? But of course, if you have blockages for whatever reason, now there are a lot of reasons for why you might be blocked in your crown chakra. Maybe because you're scared, so your own fears are blocking you. Maybe because you got some past life trauma, and maybe because you got interference from other people, your parents or your society, telling you shouldn't be doing that. So there could be a lot of reasons for why your crown chakra is blocked. So when we are babies, when we're born, everything is open. Okay, everything's open. You don't have blockages in that way. But as soon as we get to like age 4, 5, and 6, we start to mimic our parents. We start to imitate them. Then we're like, oh, you know what? We shouldn't be connecting to our own divine channel because that's really scary. Like you can get in trouble for that. Okay, and maybe if you're lucky, you might have really supportive parents. But if you're not lucky, you might actually have parents that are not so supportive, and then they might say something like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, that's evil or whatever. So that is actually often a reason why your channeling, okay, your crown chakra might be blocked. Okay, so that answers the question of where it's coming from. Okay? It is really coming from God's source. Okay, that's number one. Then how do you distinguish, number two, the difference between what is intuition and what is actually your just like your head, right? Like, oh, I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about that, right? That's just like your own head talking. So this is a very important distinction because a lot of people can't really trust their intuition because they feel like, well, sometimes I think it's my intuition and I do the thing that my voice tells me and then I am wrong. You probably have had experiences like this. Also, by the way, I think sometimes what you think is the wrong choice may not actually be the wrong choice in the long term, right? So I think there are a lot of different factors that go into what's the wrong thing and what's the right thing. But intuition does not have an agenda. Okay, so hear that again. Intuition does not have an agenda. It's not asking you to be more successful. It's not asking you to be more wealthy. It's not asking you to find the love of your life tomorrow. Okay, it's not asking you to have a six-pack. It does not have agenda because it doesn't need you to have an agenda. Okay, your intuition is never gonna make you into something more than what you are because you are perfect the way it is. Okay, but we have agendas, right? We as human beings have agendas. It's like we want to be more successful, we want to have more money, we want to have this and this. So there are agendas. Like we have a lot of things that we want from our own ego. It's like, I need to be more successful, I need to do this, I need to do that. So I just want to say that it's really important that you understand the difference between your intuitive voice, which is generally a very soft, still voice. It's a very gentle and kind voice. It's a loving and accepting voice, okay? That is your intuition. But if it's your head, it's your ego, okay? Like, I want this, I want that, and I want to be successful, I want to be rich, I want to get married, I want to do this and do that. Your head always wants you to be more than what you already are. It's like trying to push, right? It's trying to go somewhere. It's trying to do something. Your intuition accepts you and loves you as you are. So usually if you're getting an answer from your intuition is not going to be like, yeah, do this and be more successful. Look, like you're not enough. Like you're always like, late and behind and never get enough done. Your intuition is not going to say that. Okay? So I hope everyone who watches this video has a clear understanding. Your intuition is always going to be loving and accepting. Your intuition is always going to take care of you in a very gentle, soft, and kind way. Okay? And so if you know that you're getting like a nudge, right, from somewhere. You're getting a nudge, like my intuition is telling me I should go here, but I am really afraid. Now, here's the thing. How do you get out of the way, right? How do you get out of your own way to access your intuition? Because that's the problem for a lot of people, is that okay, the intuition is like, oh, do this, and in a gentle way, be soft, be kind, be loving, but your head is like, no, 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 like, I don't want to do that. That's really scary. I don't want to be vulnerable to people. I don't want to say the truth because I'm going to get in trouble. So right away, your head just like cuts it off, right? Cuts off this voice. And so when you're doing that, okay, when you're cutting off your own intuitive voice, then what's happening is like right away you split almost into two halves. Okay, let me explain what that means. On one hand, you still have that voice. It's like, hey, let's change direction. Let's go into a new town. Let's meet a new person. And then you have this other half of you that's very fearful. Okay, you're afraid, you don't want to do something, you think you're going to be in trouble, and then you may feel resistance towards change, transformation, growth, expansion, etc. Okay, so you when you cut yourself off, you split into two halves. So this is when you feel that internal struggle. Okay, you probably have felt it. Everybody's felt it. Okay, everybody's felt it because we all know what that feels like. It's that internal tug of war. Oh, I want to go here. I really want to do this thing, but I am so scared. No, I cannot do that. I cannot change. I cannot grow. Like, I just want to be in my comfort zone. And then once again, your intuition is like, hey, no, 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 let's go over here. Let's be brave. Let's be vulnerable. Let's be loving. Let's really show who we are authentically. Honestly, truthfully, you're going this like your authentic self, right? Your intuition is like, going this way. And you're like, no, 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 I'm so scared. Let's stay in the, over here in my comfort zone. This is the internal struggle. Yeah, everybody probably has experiences, right? And if you have experienced this, write in the comments, yes, I have experienced this. The tug of war. So the tug of war is what blocks you. It creates an energetic blockages. It creates an energetic blockage sometimes in the body. And then over time, if you keep having like this internal tug of war, you have lots of blockages, sometimes in the body. Okay, let me give you an example. Maybe you're supposed to say something to your boss or your housemate or your spouse or your children, and your intuition is like, say it this way, let's be vulnerable. You're like, oh no, I cannot do that. You might actually end up having a sore throat. Okay, you might all of a sudden go like, like something is in there, you're stuck in here, and you might want to say something, but you feel blocked because now your fear is coming up saying, we don't want to do that, we don't want to be vulnerable, we don't want to be brave, we don't want to be honest. So you're stuck here at the throat. And then, okay, if it gets worse, if you're not listening to yourself, guess what happens? Is that maybe the next day, this throat thing gets worse, and now you have a sore throat, okay? And then it could get even worse, and the next day you might actually have a fever. And then before you know it, you have COVID, you have all kinds of stuff, okay? Because your fear is going to then attract the things that block you from moving in the right direction, okay? I hope everybody's clear, okay? If you're not clear, please write, I don't get it, just write it in the comments and I'll answer it later. If you don't get this, just tell me, I'll explain that a little bit more. But this is when you have physical problems, guys, okay? A lot of the times the illnesses in our body come from the blockages, okay, in our mind and in like our stuck feelings. So our emotions, usually the negative emotions like fear, doubt, worry, anxiety, bitterness, resentment, those things get blocked inside our body. You might all of a sudden have like, pain in your heart. You might suddenly feel like tension like in your jaw. Sometimes you might have a headache. Sometimes you just feel like like you have, your heart is racing, palpitation. You have all sorts of symptoms, okay? Okay, somebody's asking, how do I know if this is fear or old trauma triggers? How would I be able to break them? Okay, so very, very good question. So let's, I'm gonna get to you in a second. So one of the most important things that you're gonna do when you are at the crossroad, okay, when you're experiencing that tug of war, is you have to really just pause in the moment. Like, don't make a decision at this moment because you're gonna be making the wrong decision. Okay, like stop. Okay, don't go into any particular direction. You have to take a break. Like literally give yourself 5 minute break, 10 minute break, or like even a 1 day break or a 1 week break, however long you need. Because if you're in that tug of war, you know nothing good can come from it. Okay, because you're not thinking rationally. You're just acting out of fear. Now, someone is asking me, so how do I know this is fear or old trauma? Now, they're kind of the same sometimes. I'm gonna explain. Old trauma is not necessarily a bad thing. I just want to really clarify this because people sometimes want to like get rid of the old traumas. Now, I'm not saying you should live in your old trauma all the time. Okay, you should of course love yourself and take care of the wounds and nurture yourself. And the trauma sometimes is telling you, hey, we've put our hand on the stove before and here comes the stove, don't touch it, right? Of course, I'm really simplifying here. I'll give you a personal example. I went on a date, and before I even got on the date, my body was sweating. I am not even joking. I don't sweat usually. I only really go swimming normally, and I don't really sweat even when I exercise. I got like the cold sweat in my hands, okay? And I'm in Thailand, by the way. If you don't know where I am, in Bangkok, it's really hot, okay? But I have not the warm sweat. I'm like having the cold sweat, like in AC. The car is blasting air, and I'm on my way to this date. Cold sweat in my hands, just like my body. I felt so uncomfortable, and I was like, wow, my body is having a physical reaction. Why do you think that is? It's because the person that I was going on a date with actually really reminded me of somebody that I used to be in a relationship with for like on and off 10 years. And it was almost like the universe was testing me. It gave, like, God gave me like a clone of almost the same person. Okay? Then I showed up to the date, extremely cold. Again, I felt really, really cold in my body. And then as I'm engaging with this person, I was like, uh-oh. I just attracted the same person. I think the universe, my physical body was warning me, actually, this is not a good idea. Well, I luckily recognized it, okay? It's based on something that I needed to resolve, right? So right away, I went home, I did a bunch of energy clearing on myself, asked some friends for help, that sort of thing. And I, sat in the bathtub, I cried, I let all the emotions go. Like I processed the trauma. Okay, it's something I didn't think to process. It was a long time ago, so I processed it, and then I released it. Like I released the person. I said, "Oh, thank you for the date, but we're not a good fit." And then I actually came back to like my normal, and I actually really appreciated my body's reaction to that experience because it was not somebody that I was supposed to go on a date with. Now, I'm grateful that I actually had this bodily awareness, right? Literally, my intuition was like, no, in the wrong direction. Don't go this way. Don't go this way. Go the other way. And so, in a way, it was a positive thing. Okay, I went on a date. It was clearly not a fit, but it's almost like my body was telling me in advance, right? So in that sense, I'm grateful for that trigger. Like it wasn't a bad thing that I experienced a trigger. You know what I mean? So if I didn't have that response, I would have maybe go on this date with this guy and then again and again and again. But like I could see from the first date that it was not going the right direction, and that's okay. I release him with love. Okay, there's no judgment. I think sometimes the universe shows us what we still need to process and understand. So I hope that kind of helps you. Now, how do you break them? So I just told you my own example. You really have to process those emotions. I think that's going to be the thing that really moves the trauma out of your system. You have to process it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people are going to be very afraid to process their old wounds, because let's face it, it's really uncomfortable. I say this from my personal experience, and I say this having worked with a lot of people. It is so uncomfortable. Um, it just it just makes you feel like I don't want to even be in my skin right now. Okay, that kind of uncomfortable. But if you don't process it, how is it gonna leave? Sometimes you have to punch the pillow. Sometimes you have to cry. Like, I do all those things myself, right? And of course, I can energetically clear myself, on a spiritual level, on the akashic level, but you still have to do like the hard work on the emotional level. Like, nobody can help you at that level. You can go to a healer to clear you energetically, but the body still needs to process it. Okay, so that's like your own homework. Okay, nobody can really do that for you. You can work with, of course, a professional therapist to help you maybe process it if you don't know how to do that, but you can do that yourself, right? You just have to literally sit there and be uncomfortable and ask yourself, why am I feeling so uncomfortable, and what is the emotion that I am trying to avoid, and actually feel it. So for a while I was processing this, I was just feeling very uncomfortable and very angry, like resentful, and just all kinds of negative feelings. And I don't think negative feelings are a bad thing. I think we need to feel them, and then we need to let them go, right? Release them with love. um, it's like one of my friends always says, release and bless. And I love that. You're releasing it and you're blessing it. You say, thank you for coming into my life. Okay, so now I want to address one more thing, and this is a great question. If you have fear that's coming up, like in a legitimate fear that's saying, hey, I don't want to move out of my comfort zone, even though my intuition is telling me you should go this way, but your fear is saying, I really don't want to go there. Okay, that of course happens to a lot of us, okay, myself included. Even doing stuff like this, like every time I do like a live, I always have a little bit of resistance. It's like, oh, here we go, we have to do this thing again. But then once I'm going, it's fine, right? Your fear is justified, and it's okay to feel that fear. And I think sometimes it's important to tell your fear it's okay to be afraid. And in fact, you have to acknowledge this part of you that's afraid. Like, don't try to be brave. I mean, yes, be brave, but like, don't force yourself. Like, when you're afraid, just acknowledge yourself that you're afraid. It's like, oh, I'm always scared when I do this. Like, I used to play the piano. I hated playing the piano in front of people. I still probably hate playing the piano in front of people. Every time, I'd be really afraid. So, but I did really well actually at a lot of the piano competitions I went to, but the fear was always there. It's like that never went away. I don't think that's ever gonna go away. I think I'll always be afraid of playing the piano in front of people. So, but it's kind of like, okay, there's the fear. But if your intuition is saying, hey, if you do this thing, and it's gonna bring you the change that you're looking for, okay, whether that is more friends, a better relationship, better communication with your kids, having more money, having more success, right? Having just more ease, more time, more energy, whatever it is. And you know that. Here's the thing. I think people really know that. Okay, they know what they need to do. They know what their intuition is telling them, but they just don't want to go there, right? The fear comes up. Again, you have to acknowledge fear, number one. And number two, once you acknowledge the fear, do the smallest step you can take. Do the smallest step, not the big step. Like, I hate going to the gym. I just hate it so much. Every time I go to the gym, I just cringe. Okay, but I can always say, you know what? I just need to put on my tennis shoes. Right? I just need to get as far as the front door. I just need to get my body out the front door. Because once I know I'm at the front door, then I'm fine. Then I leave. I have like a destination, right? I'm going to the gym, or I'm going to the Pilates studio, or I'm going somewhere, the swimming pool. So this is when you know, okay, this is when you know that, okay, I can get myself out of the house, I'm moving in the right direction. And that's how you create the first step to success, guys. The first step to success, whatever that means for you. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to know 100 steps. You just need to know one step. And guess what? After you finish the one step, do the next step. Here's the thing. I want to address this before I finish the live. A lot of people get really overwhelmed by like the bigness of their transformation. like how massive this is going to be, and all they see is this like giant thing, right? Your vision sometimes can be so big, it's like I'm seeing the Himalayas and I gotta climb to the top. Obviously people train for months to climb the Himalayas, right? Like years, if not months. And so what I would say is shrink that big transformation to just like what you can do in like the next 5 to 10 minutes, right? It's a bit like learning a language. You know, there's so many apps out there now. You can just sign up for like Duolingo or, you know, a bunch of other apps and do 5 minutes. Just do 5 minutes. I think like for me, sometimes if I want to exercise or stretch, I tell myself 5 minutes is all I can handle. Okay, I don't have any patience, you know, to do more than 5 minutes. And you know, I usually end up doing more than 5 minutes, because after 5 minutes, I'm totally fine. I know that in the moment of doing whatever it is that I thought was uncomfortable actually turned out totally okay, right? Don't you agree? Like usually the thing that you resist, and once you start doing it, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like it's not that bad. Okay, so this is what I would say. Okay, so we talked a lot today about the distinction between intuition and, you know, your ego's voice, and also how do you know if it's your fear or if it's your trauma. Okay, and we also really talked about how you can break through some of these fears that are holding you back. Okay, again, this is not an overnight event. Nobody is going to change in a single night. It just doesn't work that way. Somebody yesterday said, yes, I changed in like one night and then my life completely went in a different direction. Yes, you can have insight within one night. Okay, absolutely. You can have something that's very, very powerful downloading into your head, into your brain, and then your brain is like, oh, okay, I got it now. Then of course you take the steps to move in a different direction, right? But change obviously takes time. Then you take the steps. You take step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like you keep going with it, right? So this is what I want to conclude this with: is ask yourself today, what is the emotion that I'm trying to avoid? That's number 1. Give yourself 5 minutes. Sit there for 5 minutes. If you're angry, feel angry. If you're sad, feel sad. Okay, sometimes I'm really uncomfortable. Like I just sit there, I'm like, wow, I feel so lonely, or I feel so sad, or I feel so angry, you know. But I just sit there and just kind of like feel it. It's like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. And once you feel it, then you ask yourself, okay, what is like the small step that I can take today to move away, right, into a new direction? What is a small step I can take? I promise that you know what that step is. You just haven't done it yet, okay? So the intuition is always talking. We all know what that is. It just, you really have to trust it. Okay, trust yourself. That's the thing. You have to really trust yourself, okay? If anything that you're gonna take away from this whole talk is you have to really trust yourself. Take that first step. And then once you move in that direction and take that first step, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't die. I didn't die from taking that first step. Okay, I'm actually okay. And if you didn't die from taking the first step, then guess what? You're gonna be okay taking the second step, right? And you take the second step, you're like, oh, I didn't die either. So that's totally okay. Actually, the ego is just afraid of death, right? You probably have heard of ego death. The ego is afraid of it dying. But every time you take a step, you realize you're still alive, which means you're totally okay. All right, so trust yourself in knowing what the right thing is and moving in that direction. So thank you so much for watching this live, for those of you who are here, and if you're watching this replay, thanks so much for watching the replay, and I hope to bring you a lot more content like this, okay? And I'll talk to you soon. Be sure to follow me. Bye!